All right, here we go. Let's talk about how to clone the TestyMcTestface Git repo and get it running. So first thing we need to do, we need to get the URL. So we're going to say SSH, and we are going to copy this. Now make sure you pick SSH in the Git at GitHub. Make sure you followed my previous video on how to add SSH keys so that you can do this. SSH keys to your GitHub profile. Okay, once we have that done, we need to, I'm going to use GitHub Desktop for this. You can actually use command line or some other tool, Git Kraken, whatever it is. I'm going to clone a repository from the internet. And I'll make sure that it'll probably default over here. Make sure you click URL. I'm going to plop that URL in here. And for bizarre historical reasons, I'm going to put it in downloads testy2 because I already have this code cloned in various places that I'm using. And so, that's where I'm going to put it. I already have something called testy in my downloads folder, believe it or not. So we've got this. It's cloned the repo. I need to get this into VS Code. The easiest way is just once you've cloned it, hit open in Visual Studio Code, and it'll just pop open a new VS Code window. And then you furiously figure out what magical part of this you have to double click to get it to maximize. There we go. We got it. I'm going to close this because, who cares? Cool. Everything's looks swell, up and running. It's figured out it's a Java project. We've got it down here as a Java project. Now, what we're going to use to build and run it is called Gradle. Gradle is, it's a build management tool because when you distribute software, you don't just distribute a bunch of source files and have people compile and run them. If you consider so much software as it's packaged has so much other stuff in it, art assets, music, sound files, cutscenes if it's a video game, which are basically video files, all sorts of different things that all have to come together to produce a coherent piece of software. It's not just about the source code and the compiled version of the source code. So that's called build management. There's different tools for doing this. And the C side, you have Make or Gmake. On the Java side, you'll have Ant, Maven, and Gradle. There's other tools for other situations. We're going to use Gradle. All the stuff should be here. You got these libraries and things like that. And you got these two executables. Gradle W is for Macs and Linux. Gradle w.bat, as you can imagine, with the little Windows icon there, and the .bat for batch file is for Windows. We need I'm just going to ignore that for now. We do need a new terminal, so I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, get me a new terminal. Now, because this is the project that's open, it should put you in TestyMcTestface. If not, use CD to get yourself in there. So you can see home directory, downloads, testy2, TestyMcTestface. And all I have to do is /Gradle W. On Windows, it would be Gradle. I think the slash goes this way on Windows for the /. And the /, just for all of you path wizards out there, means run the one in the current folder, /. Dot is the current directory. Slash means in the directory, and then Gradle W. So I'm going to run that. This runs. I actually want to run it with the run command. Gradle has a whole bunch of commands. The ones we care about are run and fat jar. So if I run this, boom, there it is. Now, what do I need to load? Well, let me show you. If I go file, I've got a bunch of things to load. Extra is a debugging thing that I forgot to remove. I will pull that out in a future version. For now, don't click on that because it'll probably crash. I want to load from JSON. So I'm going to click this, and there should be in here, there it is, check.json. So I'm going to load this, bam, there it is. So we've got a whole bunch of these mystery methods. Now, I don't know what any of these, I know what these mystery methods do because I wrote them, or I got GitHub Copilot to help me write them. But we got a bunch of these mystery methods, so I'm going to be like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 0, 2, -5. I don't know. Let's see what we got. And it tells me with those inputs to this method, which takes 2 integer arrays, I get back 4. So what's my hypothesis? I don't know. It's probably not counting lengths. It's probably counting the total number of positives. So what if I do 0 and, -1? What does that tell me? 0. It's probably counting positives. So I'm pretty sure I would say it's counting the positives it's counting the total number of positives in both arrays. And then I click save. It's going to mark it as green. That doesn't mean it's correct. It just means you've put in an answer and it saved it. and then I can go on to the next one and do whatever I want. And there's, I don't know how many of these there are. I have to fix it so it orders it correctly, or I need to reorder the methods because it goes 0 and then 1 and then 10 because it's sorting it as a string, with the method names, not as numerical. So that's a little wonky, but whatever, you figure it out. You can always save. If I say save, this will basically save that check.json class file, which is great. If I say save as, maybe I want to give it a better name. I want to call this, I'm going to name it after my username, and I can put it wherever. I don't necessarily I'm going to put it in testy2 so that I just have it in a better spot. And so now whenever I do stuff, I do some tests, whatever, if I come up here and save, that'll save it. I don't have an exit button like a goof. So if you just click this, it'll exit. And there we go. That's TestyMcTestface in about 5 minutes. So yeah, use this. Try to put in enough test cases to figure out what the methods are actually doing, and then put in your answers. And when you're ready to submit, you can just submit that JSON file, and we'll go from there. And eventually I'll figure out how to build jar files that I can distribute to people so that when you double click them, they actually run, and they find your Java and they launch it. And it has the correct libraries for Windows and for Mac and for whatever else in different versions, because Java FX, the graphics library we're using, has platform specific parts of the libraries. And so we need to sort of build different versions for different things. So anyway, that's what's going on here. I hope that this works.